Hey, how's it going, guys? So here we have the finals match of the FAD Invitational, the Fire and Dice Invitational. On our right, we have Daniel Collins. He is playing Sylveon Mill. And on our left, we have Ricky, and he is playing Espeon Garb. Both of these players are very high competitive players that made it this far. This is the finals, so they had to go through a lot of people to try to get here. So Daniel Collins started off, he ended up attaching an energy to Eevee, using the energy evolution and getting a Sylveon out. He benches a Routes, because he is running a 1-1 line of Routes and Gardevoir. And he passes turn. Ricky opens up Lele. He's going for 2 Eevees and maybe a Trubbish. Or he goes for a Rangaroo, which is actually a very good play. It's going to allow him to kind of get cards in his hand that when he needs them. So you see here he does equip 2 tools to the Eevees, 1 to the Eevee and 1 to the Trubbish. Then uses a Rangaroo's effect, draws 2 cards, attaches an energy to Eevee, and turns it into an Espeon. Does 30 damage and confuses this Sylveon. And we do see a Team Rocket, or we do see a Team Skull Grunt. No, we see a Team Flare Grunt. Remove the energy from Daniel Collins' side. He flips, misses, and does not get his magical ribbon. We do see a Cynthia from Ricky. He do see another Psychic Energy and a Choice Band attached to the Espeon. And we see Daniel Collins trying to get his magical ribbon, but he misses one more time. It's not looking good for Daniel Collins right now. His Sylveon's at the point where it's going to probably like die. So that's not good for him. We do see Ricky attach a Choice Band to the Eevee and does continue his assault on that Sylveon, which does get knocked out. He promotes. Daniel promotes Routes. Yeah, he benches another Eevee, attaches energy, and gets another Sylveon going. So now it's Ricky's turn. Ricky trying to figure out what he wants to do. He parallels himself, gets rid of 3 Pokemon. Gets rid of the Lele and the Oranguru because he knows very well that he has no use for him. Then he drops Field Blower, gets rid of that parallel. To play a rescue structure, get back a Lele. We see him grab a Guzma with it. And he's going to play Guzma, brings up this Sylveon. And retreats with a Floatstone and does 30 damage and confuse. Daniel Collins plays another Team Flare Grunt and gets another Tails. It's very unfortunate for Daniel that he keeps getting Tails. He's not able to maximize a magical ribbon. He's not able to get the cards that he needs. So it's not looking really good for him. Ricky does attach an energy to the Espeon and gets rid of and does 30 damage and confuses it. Daniel Collins retreats manually after playing a Team Flare Grunt. So now it's Ricky's turn. Ricky's trying to figure out what the best play is. We do see an Ultra Ball gets rid of Grabotoxin Garbodor and a Trubbish. We see him get another Espeon. So now he has 3 Espeons up and running, which is kind of good. But the whole point of his deck is to have a Garb. He doesn't have an energy, so he has to pass. Daniel gets Gladion, gets 1 card from his prizes, puts it onto his hand. I think he went for the Eevee, so he placed down the Eevee and passes turn. We see a Cynthia from Ricky, so Ricky is going to draw 6 cards off that Cynthia. We see him get the energy that he needs, so he is going to start attacking this Routes. We see a Crushing Hammer, and he fails, and evolves into a Sylveon and passes the turn. We see another Cynthia from Ricky's side. So he's going to draw 6 cards. Maybe looking for a DC so he can try to use his GX move, get double knockout here. We'll see if he's able to get it. We do see him use Super Rod, throws back some energies back into his deck. At this point, he doesn't really need any Pokemon. So we do see the GX move. Does get a knockout on both of the Routes and the Sylveon that was on the bench. And this Sylveon that Daniel has is going to be It's gonna be kind of the factor that loses it for him. So Daniel does realize that he can't win this match, so he scoops it up. So they're gonna go on to game 2. It's kind of unfortunate for Daniel. He ended up getting so many tails that's practically what cost him the game. If a couple of those coin flips were heads, that would have changed the outcome of this match significantly. Him being able to get at least one magical ribbon off would have been very helpful. And also, Ricky played it very smart. Just kept his assault on, just kept attacking and attacking. Didn't try to do anything fancy, and that's what sometimes wins you the games. You being very cautious and just playing very just consistent, you know. So we do see Bridget, and we do see Energy Evolution from Ricky. And the turn before that, Daniel had played a Gladion, and he added something into his hand. So yeah. So Ricky ends up passing. We do see Team Flare Grunt come down from Daniel, gets rid of that energy from the Espeon and passes. Then we see Ricky attaching energy to Espeon and plays a Cynthia. So he's going to shuffle and draw 6 cards. We do see an Espeon come down from Daniel's side. We see an energy attached to Hoopa from Daniel's side. And then Ricky attaches an energy to his Espeon on the bench and passes. We see another energy attached from Daniel Collins' side, and he passes. Ricky attached a Floatstone to a Trubbish, and another tool to another Trubbish, and a DC to Espeon, and plays Cynthia. So he's going to draw 6 cards. I'm not really sure what he's digging for. If he uses his GX move, it only does 100 damage. It won't kill the Hoopa. So he's saving his... Oh, he got the Grabotoxin, so he is doing damage on the Hoopa now. Ricky plays Guzma, brings up that Eevee that was on the bench, knocks it out. We do see Counter Catcher brings up Trubbish with a Choice Band and gets it stuck up there. Ricky plays a Parallel City. Ricky plays a Rangaroo Ultra Ball. So he drew off the Oranguru, but Grabotoxin is active. So he reveals. Daniel Collins takes the prize. Daniel draws for a turn, passes. Ricky draws and passes. Daniel draws and passes. So they're just drawing and passing. Daniel's just biding his time, waiting for the right moment to do something. So yeah, they're just drawing and passing. Ricky finally attaches an energy to his Espeon on the bench. Ricky attaches an energy to his Trubbish and does Stomp Off. Gets rid of the top card of Daniel's deck. We do see a Cynthia, so he is going to shuffle. It's interesting that he used Stomp Off because Daniel's deck is the mill deck. So it's the deck that is supposed to get rid of cards from your deck. But at this point, it looks like... Ricky's deck is the one that's getting rid of cards from the top of the deck. So we do see Daniel's play Puzzle of Time. He does get back an Enhance Hammer and just cleans the board for all the energy. So this is kind of like the explosive, not really explosive, but the move that Daniel Collins was waiting for. He wanted enough energy on the board so he can dominate and get rid of as many energies as he can. Now Ricky's in a position where he has to dig to get energies. So he does get a knockout on the Eevee after bringing it up with Guzma. Daniel does get a play a Gladion. He grabs an Eevee, puts an energy on it, and evolves it into Sylveon. And because it isn't confused, so he is going to Magical Ribbon and get 3 cards from his deck. So this is going to help him out a lot because it's going to let him it's gonna let him put himself in a position where he's gonna be able to control the game, and that's pretty much what Sylveon does. It just controls the game and has your opponent on the back burner. So yeah. So we do see Ricky does play a Field Blower, gets rid of the Float Stone on his Grabotoxin, and then plays Lele, grabs an N. So they're both gonna shuffle and draw new hands. So you do see Floatstone on the Trash Avalanche. He does use Instruct, then draws cards from it. We see Daniel Collins play a Routes. And does Magical Ribbon, so he's going to add 3 cards to his hand. And then Ricky attacks. Daniel brings up the Routes, plays 2 puzzles, brings out, gets a Field Blower and a Fairy Energy. Does Rare Candy, evolves his Gardevoir, plays Max Potion, heals his Hoopa, plays the Eevee on the bench, places an energy on the Gardevoir. With the another Field Blower, gets rid of some tools on the board. He plays Chaos Tower, which was really interesting, and I just want to state that Daniel read this card all the time. Like, he kind of, because it's new, like, he doesn't know really what it does. It's not like Parallel, we know which way it goes. So he had to read it a couple times, but this card is broken. It pretty much lets your Pokemon not be confused, which is really good. So Espeon's attacks don't confuse you. So yeah. So we see Ricky did do 30 damage, but Daniel's Eevee's not confused. So now it's Daniel's turn. Now he's kind of like, now he's on the offensive, so he's able to like think of what he wants to play. So he's gonna make some really, really great plays right now. So we do see a Guzma brings up that Trubbish, knows that Trubbish is gonna be danger to him later. We do see a Sycamore from Ricky. He draws 7 cards off of it. We see the Trubbish come down. We do see a Super Rod, so he is going to get a combination of Pokemon and energies. He gets 2 Pokemons and an energy back into the deck. And he does 30 damage to this Gardevoir and passes. And Daniel gets an energy on the Eevee, gets a Sylveon up and running. See a Team Flare Grunt, gets rid of the energy from the Espeon. We do see a Twilight coming, which is really good. And so he's going to get 10 cards, put him back in his deck. This is really great because he gets to bring back all the resources that he needs and throw them back into the deck. And the deck's already thin enough where he's going to be able to draw and maximize on those cards. So we do see an energy from Ricky. And he does get a Cynthia, so he is going to shuffle and draw 6 cards. We see Ricky get a Choice Band. And he does 60 damage. And we see Daniel retreat, brings up an Sylveon. He finally gets a heads off that Crushing Hammer, so it is going to get rid of that energy from the Espeon. We do see him do Magical Ribbon, reveals the Max Potion, even though he doesn't have to. That was on accident, so yeah. He's looking through his deck to grab some cards that he needs. Doesn't matter, Ricky had an end, so totally denying Daniel's Magical Ribbon. So we do see 60 damage on this Sylveon. It is confused because of Chaos Tower not being in play. We do see Counter Catcher. And we do see Magical Ribbon, and he gets Tails. Very unfortunate that Daniel is not able to maximize on his heads and tails. We see another Tails off of a Magical Ribbon. He's doing more damage to himself than his opponent is, which is just insane. So yeah. We do see a Max Potion heals up that Sylveon, but has no energy to continue his Magical Ribbon, so now they're just drawing and passing. They're just drawing and passing. Ricky finally gets an energy, does some damage on the Sylveon. We see Plumeria, and gets rid of that energy on the Garbodor. So now they're both just drawing and passing, and I think Ricky's at the point where he has no energies in his deck. We do see Daniel play Lusamine. So he's going to get 2 supporters back into his hand. He goes for a Guzma. And I don't know what that was. I didn't see it. So Daniel Collins top decks the team. Oh my god, the Team Rocket's handiwork. Sorry guys, it's like really early, so like my brain isn't at 100%. But yeah, yeah, he gets the Team Rocket's handiwork and ends up getting the heads that wins him the game. Ricky was down to his last cards. So he was probably hoping for like another energy, but maybe he was out of energies as well. I think that Super Rod that he played earlier and getting Pokemon back was kind of a mistake. He should have gone for energies, knowing very well that Daniel was just chipping at his energies. So yeah, but it happens. So they're going on to game 3. As you see, it's not just one-sided. It's very balanced. At any moment, the game can turn around. Daniel Collins showing exactly what that means. So they're going to get started in game 3. They both open up with Eevee. Ricky's going to go first, so he is going to get that Espeon up and running. We do see a Parallel and a Choice Band come down from Ricky's side, and we see a Cynthia. So he is going to draw 6 cards. And we see another Eevee on the bench, and he passes. From Daniel Collins, we see a Nest Ball, so he is going to search his deck for a basic Pokemon and put it on the bench. Maybe going to go for an Eevee. And we do see an energy attached to the Eevee, and it becomes a Sylveon. He finally gets a heads off that Crushing Hammer, which is really good. Finally going to see what his deck can do. So he does get that hammer, gets rid of the energy from the Espeon, plays Magical Ribbon, grabs 3 cards from his deck, and passes turn. Ricky draws and passes. We see Daniel Collins attaching energy to the Eevee on the bench and evolves it. He does play a Hoopa, and we see another Magical Ribbon taking effect. So it's Ricky's turn. He draws. He gets an energy, which is really good. I guess last turn he wasn't able to get an energy. He does do 30 damage and confuse. We see Chaos Tower, so that gets rid of the confusion. We do see 110. So now Daniel is on the assault. He doesn't care about what he's drawing. He's not trying to use Magical Ribbon to advance his game. We see an Acerola, and we see a DC on the Hoopa, retreats it. We see Magical Ribbon from Daniel Collins, so he's getting 3 cards, putting it into his hand. So yeah, and passes turn. Ricky plays a Cynthia. I guess Ricky is not drawing what he wants, which is kind of unfortunate because he had 2 really amazing games where he was getting everything that he needed. But sometimes the deck just doesn't perform, and we're seeing it now. Ricky does get another Eevee on the bench and ends up passing. So Daniel is free to do whatever he wants. He has 2 puzzles. He's getting back that DC and something else. Puts down a Routes. and does 110 to this Espeon. Doesn't have to use Magical Ribbon because he already has like all the components that he needs in his hand. His opponent has an Endem, so it's really good. But then we see the end come down from Ricky after he plays a tool on his Eevee on the bench. So Ricky looking for energy pretty much to attack. If not, he's going to be in a very, very awkward position. So they're both going to draw 6 cards. We do see a Trubbish come down. We see a Rangaroo. We see Retreat with the Floatstone, and he brings up the Rangaroo as tribute. We see Gladion from Daniel Collins. He's adding a card to his hand from his prizes, shuffles up, and puts his prizes out. Grabs a DCE, puts it on the Sylveon that's on the bench. And we do see a Magical Ribbon, so he's grabbing 3 cards, putting them into his hand. So it's Ricky's turn. He draws. He does get a Trash Avalanche on the board. Not the Garbodor that you're looking for, but it'll do the job. He does have an end, so it's really good for him that he's going to be able to disrupt Daniel's hand and not give him the 3 cards that he wanted. And he ends up passing. We do see a parallel from Ricky, so he does get rid of one of the Espeons that was on the bench. We see an energy on the Sylveon that was on the bench, and we see another Magical Ribbon. So Ricky attaches energy to the Eevee on the bench, turns it into an Espeon. We see a Floatstone on the Rangaroo. He does retreat, brings up the Espeon, does 30 damage, and confuses this Sylveon, or does 60 damage because of Choice Span. We do see Rare Candy Gardevoir, and we are going to see a Lusamine. We see an energy on Gardevoir. We see Chaos Tower, so that heals up the Sylveon's confusion. And we see 110. We do see Field Blower getting rid of that Chaos Tower. We see Ricky play a Trubbish. And he confuses this Sylveon for 60 damage. So it has 120 damage on it, so it's almost at the point of dying. We are going to see him retreat and bring up the Gardevoir. We do see double puzzle. Goes for Chaos Tower and DC. Plays this Chaos Tower, and we're gonna see a knockout on this Espeon. He brings up his Orangaroo. We are gonna see a Super Rod, brings energies back to his deck. See, he's noticing that energies are very important, and he knows that Daniel's deck, all it does is get rid of his energy. So it's very good that he got multiple energies instead of just one. So that's going to help him out in this match. He draws one from Orangaroo. You're going to see a Sycamore, so he does discard his hand and draw 7 cards. Ricky not looking too excited from the cards that he drew. He does get an energy on the Trash Avalanche. Probably going to start trying to attack this Gardevoir. We do see Lele come down, and he does grab Guzma. Maybe saving that for next turn. And he ends up passing. Danny Collins comes up, brings up the Espeon with his Guzma of his own, and knocks it out with Fairy Wind. Ricky not in a great position, but he ends up scooping to Daniel Collins. I think they went into time, and Daniel was just in the lead. He had 2 prizes left compared to Ricky's 6 or 4. But yeah, Ricky didn't get too many. Oh, actually 6. Ricky didn't get any prizes this match. So Ricky was way behind. So yeah. There you guys have it. That was the match for the finals of the Fire and Dice Invitational. Very exciting game. It was great to see this match up close and personal, and I'm glad I was able to share it with you guys. Guys, with that said, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure to share the video with anybody that wants to see what finals look like, or that wants to see a Sylveon go up against an Espeon, which is very exciting. Guys, with that said, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.